You may be wondering why I'm holding an apple next to this rose bush. Well, believe it or not, apples and roses are in the same family, the Rosaceae. And like apples, roses also produce fruit. These are the fruit of the roses, rose hips. They look like little berries, or actually look like little apples. If you have an apple on the opposite end of the stem, the bottom of the apple, you can see the scar where the apple blossoms have fallen away. And likewise on the rose hips, you see this scar where all the rose petals have fallen away. The rose hips provide a little bit of color in the garden after the rose petals have fallen, and some rose plants will actually hold on to these berries throughout the wintertime and give us some winter garden color. The rose hips are very nutritious. They're high in vitamin C. In fact, rose hips contain 60 times the vitamin C that citrus fruits do. So they're very good for us. They promote good health, they fight disease, and also they fight the effects of aging. So sometimes you see different lotions and face creams that will contain rosehip oil, and that's to help keep wrinkles from forming in our skin. You can make several interesting dishes from rose hips. A lot of people will make tasty rosehip jam or rosehip jelly. You can eat them plain, or you can boil them and make a nutritious rosehip tea. Here I've got the hips of another rose, and you can see it's a little bit bigger, kind of a lighter orange color. And I've cut one in half here, one of these smaller ones, and you can see they do contain seeds. The seeds are also edible, but they're a little bit bitter. But here you can see there's quite a bit of a fleshy fruit to this rose hip. Back during the Victory Garden era of World War II, our government stressed the importance of adding rose hips to our diet because of the vitamin C content. Not all roses will produce rose hips like this one does. Some of the newer roses, the hybrid teas, and some of these newer developed roses don't produce as many as some of the shrub roses and some of our older garden roses. If you want to harvest rose hips from your plants in August, stop doing the deadheading or removing the flowers so it'll go ahead and have a good fruit set. And also, if there have been any pesticides used on the plants, be sure and rinse the fruit very well. And if those pesticides were systemic, you don't want to harvest those rose hips at all. Read the label of anything that you've used to apply to your rose bush to see if it has that systemic wording. Well, I hope you try some rose hips, and it's just another offering of this wonderful garden plant that gives us so much already.
We hope you've enjoyed this classic from the Oklahoma Gardening Vault. Remember, even though these tips and techniques are timeless, there's always something new to learn in the world of gardening. By subscribing to both Oklahoma Gardening and OK Gardening Classics, you'll have access to a wealth of gardening knowledge, both classic and contemporary.